Deanne Love here, and this is another episode of Grow With Your Flow, where we take a sequence of hoop moves and we melt our body's expression, movement, and dance into that sequence. So we're not just doing the trick, although I will break that down for you first, but then we are coming to the understanding that we can uniquely express with our whole entire body and the hoop as an extension of that. So if you're a total beginner, you can still follow along because I will break it all down for you. But if you want more foundations and beginner moves, then go to learn.hooplovers.tv or links down below. I am using a 90 centimeter Poly Pro that I got from Super Hooper, but you can use any hoop that you like because we're not doing any on body. It's off body, but that doesn't mean that we're not moving our body. Now, speaking of flow, don't forget that on learn.hooplovers.tv, I also do monthly hoop dance flow classes, and there are 4 full length classes. Yep, not just a tutorial, like we go through the whole class as if you and I were right here in the studio together. So check that out, and I'll leave links below, like I always do. All right, so step number 1 is to break down the trick so that we can kind of start to forge those pathways. And then once we have that in place, then we can get the body into action. So I am right hand dominant. If you are left, then you are going to mirror me. What's going to happen is a lot of this flow session is about following the momentum of the hoop and allowing your body to be synchronized to that. Or sometimes it's a very fine balance. It might be your body's momentum and the hoop is kind of coming along with you. So just watch how there can be that beautiful dance together. So what I like to do with my right hand, I'm going to have my wrist up and I take the hoop over and make it break on the outside of my arm, kind of gently, but with the intention that it bounces all the way back. Now, if you're on the right flooring, this will be really easy and it'll feel like you are flying. If you're not, then don't worry if you kind of stop halfway and you have to step your way around. Notice what happens is there is contraction. I bring the hoop in towards my opposite side, and then there's expansion. And with that expansion, what I'm doing is I'm pulling my kind of energy down and in. And as I open up, I'm coming up onto the ball of my pivoting foot or my circling foot. I've got the hiccups because it's so exciting. And then with the weight of the hoop, if I open my chest, I can do a full turn. Maybe if you're on carpet or something like that, it might be a little bit challenging. And if you don't have space, then you can do this with the hoop in close. The thing is to not try to let this pushing leg fly out too far, because then you're going to be off balance. You can imagine like you have this kind of crystal plumb line that goes through the center of your body, that you have this, I don't know, this kind of spiral or this spring that is in there that is keeping you semi-upright. Then you ground, you plant yourself right there. So as you come around, now at this point, I want you to raise your hoop up and it's going to come on to you. Now there's a lot of body work that has to happen here because you want to be able to go from a full spin to grounded, or a turning, stepping spin to grounded. And then you're going to do an isolation barrel roll. Now eventually that will be one continuous motion. A lot of the pivot and the weight is on my right leg because that's how I feel dominant. So what happens is my right leg is planted to the earth, my right leg is planted to the earth, and to do that kind of momentous barrel roll, you might want to break it down first. So as you come around, step, 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 hoop comes on, and you're kind of inside it. Yeah. But then what's going to happen is your hands are on the inside. You're going to turn for me. I turn towards the left, and I keep the hoop close to the back of my body. My elbows are bent all the way around. So as I come around, I'm in, I kind of bend forward a little, position my grip, and then for me, what happens is I push my left foot off and pivot and then step. So you might want to work on the footwork there. So I go push, step. Yeah, I'll show you from this side. So up onto the ball of my right foot, push, This knee kind of comes up and swivels the hips over, and then step. And the whole time my hoop is staying in that frame. If the footwork doesn't work out for you, you can kind of step back and around. That's totally fine. You don't have to do this like up and over. So you could just go step back, step forward. So here, that would be step back, step forward. Does that make sense? From there, your hoop is going to be kind of in the front plane, and what you're going to do is the back of it you'll fold forward, and you can do that again if you like, so that then your hands are in this position where your thumbs are kind of hooking around, your fingers are facing forward. And here, there's a lot that you can do. You can do a behind the back two-handed mandala. I have a tutorial for that. Or you could just rock out here if you like, which is kind of what I did. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna chill. Now, we're going to take the hoop around on the palm of our hand, I was gonna say head, and let it do a swivel. So this is kind of like a contact orbit or smear, is that what you call it? So what happens is we've gone from two hands on the outside, and then we're going to have a hand on the on the outside again. This is my right hand. And what I want to do is bring it so that the hoop is kind of up above my forehead. And then I release my thumb, put my hand on the inside, and with momentum, the hoop is going to go all the way around. If it doesn't, I'm just going to grab it and pull it back down to the front. So it comes up to the top, open my palm, all the way around. It will do some kind of like contact moves on my body, but it's all about bending the elbow, positioning the hand, and letting the hoop come around. Sometimes I have to help it. Bending the elbow, positioning the hoop, and letting it come around. Now, if I go too far out this way, then it's not going to, so it's like finding that position where if I simply press my palm up to the ceiling, the hoop will do a full rotation around my body. Yeah? And then down, sharp. All right. So this does require some momentum and flow, but we can step it through again. So we go wrist up, break, around, in, fold forward so you have the plane, a semi-vertical plane, two hands, isolation barrel roll, fold forward and forward again, rock out here, choose your hand side, your hand will be on the outside, but then thumb, forefinger, palm up, hoop comes all the way around. Sometimes, if your hand is like in this position, you can just bring your hoop down that way and unravel. But if your hand does grab on the outside and you rotate to the top, then you will be flowing into a different move there. So, one more time, sometimes your hand will end up on top. Remember, we're in flow. And the more variation, or the more that we allow things to happen that we might sometimes perceive as a mistake, which there are never any mistakes, there's just new discoveries and expansion. The more that we allow ourselves variation, the more in flow we'll be able to stay, because we won't be thinking, oh, I just did the wrong thing, that's not where my hand was meant to be. But it's totally cool and legit to break stuff down, understand, get to know the pieces of the puzzle, and then mess them up. All right, are you ready to bring the body into it? We did a little bit of this work already. So we're talking about contraction, right? So we're bringing, the knees might bend, the head might go down, the arms might cross over, or maybe bam, bam. So it's totally up to you how you're going to express this break. If you have the space, open your wings. Open and follow your hoop. But I would say have a spotting point. For me, it is you. So I want to come back around to you. That means that sometimes if I overstep the mark, my foot is going to go forward, but ultimately I want it to come side by side, because that means that I can flow into putting the weight onto my right, pushing back and around. Does that make sense? So it's all about creating that kind of, now sometimes if my feet are in the wrong position, or let's just say, not the wrong position, but if it's kind of there, like my stopping foot is out in front, then sometimes I bring this one together, then push the momentum. Does that make sense? So play around with that, see what the body allows. From here, fold forward and forward. I like to do a little thing with my heels, going in and out. It's totally up to you. If you feel, also, if you feel like the hoop is kind of too big and it's hitting you, work on changing the position of your hands or changing maybe the size of the hoop if you have it, but you don't, it doesn't matter if you even have a big hoop. So as I come over, I want to fold with my, or sorry, pivot with my feet, or you might come up with a bet, you might want to kind of step. So there's lots of space for you to kind of, if it feels okay for you, if your knees are okay, you might want to squat down on the ground. Be careful. From here, oh so much. Oh so much. Allow yourself the freedom, the wobble, the painting. You can go in any kind of direction that you like. You are here. Trick restriction. If you've seen my stuff on Instagram or hooplovers.tv, you know that you can do a lot with just this hand placement. But when you feel ready, coming out, expansion, contraction. Now I like to move my body. It's like I'm moving it up and down inside this cylinder, because when I'm doing this, it's a contact move. I don't want to do anything too wild because it's going to put the hoop off its little pathway, but I can take myself down and up. Okay, if that feels good for your legs. All right, let's try it one more time. We go break and flow, stop, isolation barrel roll, bring it down, rock it out to the side if it feels okay. Yay. All right, now it is time for you to transform that into your own unique expression, like only you can. And if you do, tag me on Instagram. I'd love to see it. I love when you transform it into your own style and your own beautiful, beautiful brilliance. It's been a pleasure. I love teaching these flow sessions to you, and I love the way that you reflect them back to me. Big hoop love from me to you. Mwah.